What happens when Uncle Nick goes back to college? He pretty much rips his liberal professors and feminist classmates a new one via the essays he hands in on various academic topics. The kind of shit you can't get away with today in the gynocentric cauldron. Purchase Burning the Midnight on Amazon.com today. A link is in the description.
Good pop showed up, but I don't have all good news. Here in Michigan, we got some fun times coming up. We passed our Child Custody Act in 1970, and they're finally getting around to changing it. What I have in my hand is House Bill 4691, which presumes 50-50 custody in any divorce right out of the gate.
Why does everybody always think I'm being sarcastic? This is great news.
And so basically, the way I feel about that, we're going to dig into the specifics later, but overall, this is definitely good for dudes. Any dude out there who's ever seen the inside of divorce court, you know when you walk in the doors, they break your penis off and ram it right up your ass.
Oh, and wait till I put the thermometer in.
It doesn't matter. Race, color, creed, amount of money you have, male privilege does not exist in there. So anything that levels that playing field, even a little bit, is a damn good thing. Now, but of course, you guessed it, man can't have anything good without some crazy feminist showing up to spoil the party. And this feminist, her name is Diana Raimi. Big shocker, she's a family court attorney. Miss Raimi went through this bill, and she wrote up a pretty dirty character assassination of it. And now, using logic and reason, we're gonna kick her fucking teeth in. Be prepared to get debunked while I get crunked. Yeah. We all know a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I'm gonna show you the picture of this chode before we actually begin. His name? Harry Gornbean, and hell no, I'm not making that up. It sounds like an Urban Dictionary term for a woman's tic-tac, if you know what I mean. I'm almost done here and just gotta knock out the Gornbean.
What?
You know the Gornbean.
What?
You'll like it.
No!
Oh my God.
What have you been doing all night?
Jello shots and wild sex. What else?
Now, Mr. Gornbean, he didn't write this article, but he gave her a platform to spew her bullshit. You might be wondering why Mr. Gornbean, or we call Nutsack, gave this feminist a platform to speak. It's called plausible deniability. Basically, since he is an attorney in Birmingham, Michigan, somebody walks into his office, gives him some shit, he can say, hey, I didn't write the article. And if you want to bullshit the bullshitter, he actually posted his email and his phone number with the article. Now, I'm not saying you should call him and rip him a new one, but I understand.
You're not a very nice doctor, are you?
And you are very bad at whatever it is you do.
Proposed child custody bill will harm Michigan children.
Well, you're not trying to trigger an irrational response or anything, are you? As an attorney, you would think she could argue her case against this bill logically, but I need a beer. You'd be wrong.
A recently separated divorcing couple has 2 children. Mom is depressed and inattentive, usually gets the kids to school late and never helps with homework. When with her, the children often miss sports practices and social activities. Dad is reliable and involved. He coaches soccer, helps with schoolwork, and takes care of all the kids' medical and other appointments. Yet, HB 4691, introduced by Representative Jim Runestad over the summer, would require the kids to spend substantially equal time with Mom.
I can see what you're doing here, bitch, and I'm not gonna fall for it. You begin with a negative example for women, so no one can accuse you of gender bias. Well, that's just too goddamn bad, because I'm calling you out on your bullshit anyway.
A never-married couple has a 2-year-old daughter. Dad has 4 children with 3 different mothers. He doesn't pay support, but stops by unannounced to visit the child every few weeks, sometimes bringing gifts. Under HB 4691, Dad would get substantially equal parenting time.
You're gonna have to do a lot better than that.
So right off the bat, she gives us 2 straw man arguments that have nothing to do whatsoever with the reality that we live in today. Because in this reality, this mother is allowed to be depressed and inattentive. Hell, on top of that, you could add drug addict, prostitute, convicted felon, and she would still get custody of those children 85% of the time. And that 15% left over for the dudes, that does not take into account the uncontested cases. And when you factor that in, men only win custody 7% of the time. That is reality. This reality. Oh, let me turn it up.
Do you have anything to add to this debate?
Wilson's right, Foreman's wrong. Your shirt is way too revealing for the office.
In this reality, we have dickbags that have multiple baby mamas. It happens. Does that make them bad fathers? Nope. Does that make them stupid and serial bad decision makers? Hell yes.
It makes no fucking sense. It's like, what were they thinking?
But hey, you can't punish people for being stupid. Unfortunately. Because if it could, baby, you'd be on death row. Screen 5! There are countless men out there who are terrific fathers and shitty husbands. And it is straight up wrong to punish one because of the other. Any way that you look at this, Miss Raimi, you are not starting off with a good foot here. Your first 2 examples, meaning this is the best you got, pure unadulterated bullshit. It's a big fat nothing burger with extra mayonnaise running down your butt crack.
HB 4691 threatens to throw out 47 years of precedent, replacing our state's child-centered custody law with one that focuses on fairness to parents.
Whoa! You need to stop that apple cart right here, bitch, because I need a drink right now. Please bear with me. I'm going to try to use some of your language without laughing, so here we go. Child-centered, I can't even do it. In what planet in this current reality are the laws child-centered? I certainly hope you're going to explain what you mean by that. And right after that, you put the word fairness in quotes, like it's a bad thing or something. In fact, the court system is supposed to be non-biased and fair. We all know it's not, but hey, that's the idea.
It's proof that Jesus died in vain and legally changed his middle name to fucking.
It's kind of like the way it is and the way it should be. In fact, I made an episode about it. Check it out. By phrasing it this way, you, as an attorney, are advocating inequality under the law. Baby, you are out of your motherfucking mind, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You are a cancer, and I'm the goddamn chemo. Oh, that's right. Wait a minute. I'm more like medical marijuana. Winning. I probably need to toke up to get through the rest of this goddamn sentence.
Instead of considering the best interests of the child.
God damn it.
Pop, you okay?
I think I'm having an allergic reaction to her goddamn bullshit. If there is one thing that our current system has never cared about, that is the best interest of the children.
She shouldn't have unnecessary surgery.
Or a moron for a mom. What can you do?
It sacrifices protection of Michigan's children in favor of a one-size-fits-all rule requiring substantially equal parenting time in most cases.
Good, because that's the way it should be. Men have been stripped of their children on suspicion alone for the past 47 years. And giving us back just a little bit of that is a bad thing in your eyes.
Unless one parent can prove domestic violence, abuse, neglect, or a few other extreme conditions.
Guess what, bitch? You want to take my children away? They better be extreme conditions. And you better be able to prove that shit beyond a reasonable doubt. Because outside family court, the conditions need to be extreme and documented and provable. And why do you ask? Why is it so different outside of family court? I got one word for you. Money. There's no money in it.
Oh, no.
If passed, this bill will cause a flood of litigation by reopening old cases and inviting arguments over its vague, contradictory, and untested language.
Good. There should be a flood of litigation. And again, fuck you. By your own admission, prior to 1990, only 13% of cases resulted in joint custody. And we're only now just trying to climb out of that. So you're talking about 4+ decades of dudes getting raped by the system. That doesn't sound like fairness. In fact, that sounds like tyranny. And if these men want to come back and correct this injustice, I say good. And I hope they take every piece of your ass out along the way.
Clarification. It's a beautiful thing.
And I love this part. She's referring to the language in this bill as being
vague, contradictory, and untested.
As an attorney, you should realize that is the basis of all law. You should know that, and I could tell from reading this article, you've embraced that shit, you dumbass.
Why is this bill so dangerous?
Why don't you take that fear-mongering, mix it up with some sand, and pound it into any one of your orifices, or all 3. That is, if there's any room left, you know, with all the dicks in there.
You again.
But now, I've been holding back. We're getting to the good stuff. A 7-point list of all the things she attacks in this bill that she does not like. And you will notice, nowhere in my description of this did I use the words facts, logic, or reason. Because apparently this bitch, she don't have any.
It places the interests of parents over the interests of children, eliminating existing, well-understood definitions of best interests of the child, and even deleting existing law's requirement that all decisions be guided by the child's best interests.
Please, for the love of God, can somebody give me the definition of the best interest of the child? If it's so well understood, why can I not find it anywhere? And I've been trying for 10 years. Nowhere to be found. And you want to know why? Because the family court system doesn't give a damn shit or fuck about your children, nor mine. Space Ghost.
Can I at least...
Waste your time? Wouldn't recognize you if you didn't.
All they care about is money, because that is where the interests start and stop. Extorting men for money and then getting reimbursed by Title IV. Hell, that's their bread and butter. If they have a criminal mother who works part-time at Walmart making $25K a year in this hand, and in this hand they have a middle-class dude in the union pulling down 6 figures, who do you think is going to wind up paying the child support?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were having a state the obvious contest.
It is in your best interest, Miss Raimi, to keep this corruption going. So please tell me why the fuck anyone should listen to you. If the best interest of the child was anywhere in this equation, this bill would have been passed in the 70s. Instead, our prison population has exploded 700% since 1970. Feminists, they call that a coincidence. I call it, fuck you. And the prisons, they're not having all the fun either. The nut houses and the cemeteries, they're packed also. Because every bad thing that you could possibly imagine happening to your own child, teen suicide, drug addiction, criminal behavior, the chances of all those things going bad skyrocket when the father is knocked out of the picture. And this is all documented in my sources. Low bar, read them and weep. So, I have to ask again, Miss Raimi, where the fuck are your sources? Where is your evidence? Because the facts and logic are clearly on my side. Whose side are you on, bitch?
It takes away judges' discretion to look at each family's individual situation and instead imposes rigid overnight counting requirements that apply in all cases except in the most extreme circumstances.
First of all, this is a flat-out fucking lie, and we're gonna get to that later. But as far as your argument, this is the way it should be. Why would you waste resources and time unless the circumstances were extreme? Oh yeah, that's right. You wouldn't get a paycheck then, would you?
Get a raise? Because then you're a whore. Or didn't you? Because then you're a stupid whore.
I keep thinking of this one legal term, and it keeps repeating over and over in my brain pan. As a lawyer, you've probably heard about it. In fact, it's called conflict of interest.
It could have retroactive effect, opening the door for thousands of parents to return to court for another trial long after their case is concluded.
I'm gonna tell you a story about a dude who served 32 years in the military, across 3 wars, and he was almost killed in 2 of them. And after serving his country, he returned to an ungrateful, backstabbing here. Who went cuckoo for Cocoa Penis Puffs? Did it just get dark in here? She didn't hesitate for a second to use his wounds and his service against him to rip his children away. In fact, he was referred to as a murderer and an assassin in family court. With all that crap going on, the twat murdered his fucking dog. And after that, he was rendered homeless by the system and lived out of his car. Spoiler alert, that dude, it was me.
You lose.
As a special operations soldier who has 3 wars under his belt, I have felt some bone-crushing, soul-shattering pain, but none of that even came close to losing my children. And if I have a chance to rectify any of that bullshit, it is on like Donkey Kong, and you better be on your game, bitch, because I will be one of motherfucking millions.
It destroys our current law's protection of continuity for children, inviting prolonged litigation that could repeatedly uproot children.
And the system we have now that's filling prisons, nut houses, and cemeteries at breakneck speed, that is good. Why?
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
It provides a powerful bargaining chip for domestic abusers to control and intimidate their spouses or partners, using the children as pawns in the process.
That's nice fear-mongering, bitch. Did you get a free Coach purse with that? You are playing on emotions while you should be arguing with logic. As a family attorney, who I am sure has influenced your clients to make these claims, if there was actual domestic violence, there would be a paper trail now, wouldn't there? If not a police report, there definitely would be medical records. If not, the only person that these real victims have to blame is themselves.
You can't be serious.
Actually, I can.
You're gonna say I'm victim blaming, but I'm just calling it how it is. Because the system, as it stands now, rewards women for making false allegations of domestic abuse. And it punishes male victims of domestic violence just for calling the police. Thank you so much, Duluth model. No. So as a woman, if you are not calling the police that are clearly on your side, that is on you. Hell, there is no bargaining chip here. This ain't poker. This bill does not give legitimate domestic abusers a pass whatsoever. So you can take that, crumple it up, and ram it up your ass for the rest of your lies you're spewing. And using children as pawns. You want to go there? Because I can go there.
Oh, great.
Relax.
Women are absolute experts at that. They are tyrants at using children as bargaining chips. And it's been going on for 50 goddamn years. Waving visitation in the guy's face, only if he follows through with the check. That's called, extortion, bitch. In any other court, extortion is a felony. But in family court, that's just business. It is standard operating procedure.
It ignores the reality of the child's experience in deciding a parenting schedule, focusing instead on parent-centered factors like financial contributions.
Last time I checked, the child's schedule is always dictated by the parents, if they're together or not. It's called real life, baby. Somebody's got to pay the bills and shit ain't free. And if you don't like those apples, suck it hard, suck it long, and you better not spit out what comes at the end.
Is your mommy a big fat idiot?
It gives unrelated roommates or live-in boyfriends or girlfriends the same rights as parents when a military parent is deployed, even if that person would normally never have the right to ask for parenting time.
Listen here, Bubbles. Women pulling this bullshit for decades, and no one said shit till now. What clam chowder-infested rock have you been hiding under? Oh, that's right. You've been collecting a check and giving zero fucks about the ramifications of your actions as a shitty attorney.
Pop, don't let it go. What? X gon' give it to you. He gon' give it to you. X gon' give it to you.
Runestad claims his bill is needed to correct an entrenched bias in our family court system that favors mothers over fathers and disregards children's need for substantial contact with both parents.
He's right. And you can argue with him all day long, but at the end of the day, you're flat bush 100% wrong. Especially when all you have to argue with are emotions and misinformation. We are now balls deep into this article, and you have said nothing that is not a complete lie. How do I know that? Because I read the bill, baby. Cover to cover, and the 2 drafts before it, that's how. You could not be more full of shit if you were a septic tank stopped up to critical mass.
But the overwhelming trend in Michigan is already toward joint custody. Between 1990 and 2015, the share of Michigan cases granting joint custody increased from 13% to 44%.
Gee, that sounds really good up until you read between the lines. Because, baby, you didn't mean this, but you just tipped your hand. All of this is a 3-shell Monty game on both sides to cover up the real reason for this bill and why so many people oppose it. And you probably already know what that is. Money. So now it's my turn to go into my problems with House Bill 4691.
I was being sarcastic.
Wouldn't look that way in the court transcript.
This bitch thinks it goes way too far. I say it doesn't go far enough. It lacks teeth, and there are a few key factors here that is sorely lacking. Like paternity fraud. Huge problem, not mentioned one time in this bill.
World's greatest not a dad mugs. There's Who's Not Your Daddy t-shirts, both available at notafathersday.com.
According to the American Association of Blood Banks, 1/3 of paternity tests, you guessed it, come back negative. What does that mean? Up to 1/3 of the fathers out there quite possibly are raising someone else's child. In most states, you can't contest it beyond 2 years. And you want to know why? Money.
That is some sadistic bullshit.
Don't get me wrong, 50-50 custody is great, but it's just the start. Because if you, as a man, have been duped into raising another man's child and you've been paying child support for this kid, the statute of limitations should be second cousin to Harvey the Rabbit, meaning it shouldn't fucking exist. You're a dude and you find out you're raising a child that isn't yours, you should be able to walk into county records with the DNA test and get your name taken off that birth certificate ASAP. After that, you call your ex-wife's attorney and tell him you want child support reparations, and you'll take cash, check, or charge, or full frontal nudity.
15 minutes for the lap dance, a half hour to scrub the guilt off my soul. See you in 45.
Bottom line, paternity fraud is fraud, keyword being fraud. And the fact that's not even mentioned in this bill is absolutely shameful. But it's never going to happen. You know it and I know it. And why is that? There's no money in it. And shamefully, that is really what this is all about. Even though you're presumed to get 50-50 custody right out of the gate, they're adding more steps in this litigation process to get their money out of you in court. If they cannot get your money with Title IV, they still want their cut. So they're gonna fuck you with bureaucracy right in the wallet. Even though this bill is good for men, nobody wrote it because they wanted it to be fair. Miss Raimi said it herself, joint custody is becoming more common. So they wrote this bill because they saw the money drying up in this pool and they wanted to make a new one. Because we all know single parenthood is not going away, but it's not as much money as it used to be. Where? So they're building a brand new bionic dick to fuck dudes over here. Haha, you'll get to see your kids, but we're still taking a piece out of your ass even if it's a small one. No one gets away clean.
More recent statistics, when available, will doubtless show that for children with two fit, caring parents, substantially shared parenting is rapidly becoming the norm.
And if you actually cared about the best interest of the child, it would have been that way from the beginning. But instead, you waited until there wasn't quite enough money to fund your corruption. Where? All of a sudden, it's become that magical time. To be fair.
Backers of HB 4691 simply cannot show that there is a significant problem that requires fixing, let alone a fix as damaging as this bill.
I'll agree. There are some problems with this bill. There are some glaring oversights. For example, it acknowledges that people make false allegations of abuse in court, which for a dude who's been through the system is a step. But you can read this entire thing and there is no punishment for that. Which basically means, in legalese, we don't care. But we're not really talking about my problems with this bill. We're talking about yours. So why don't you take one of these? Everyone basically has one now. It's a phone. In fact, you're probably watching me on it right now. Why don't you use this to Google the effects of fatherless homes, and if you do, you'll discover what I already know. Your argument is absolutely invalid. And that's assuming you had an argument to begin with, because we are now at the end of this article, and you don't have one.
Prove it or pay up. You got 1 day.
Proponents of HB 4691 claim that it allows courts flexibility to weigh factors such as whether a child is a nursing infant, the burden on children of travel, or the parent's mental health. This is untrue. Under the bill's fine print, a court cannot even consider factors such as these in most cases in the absence of domestic violence or other serious threats to a child's welfare.
Oh, you're expecting me to have a problem with this. Fuck off, I don't care. Whether or not a child is nursing is irrelevant. That is what breast pumps and formula are for. Dudes, please do me a favor. If you are rocking the dad bod, don't put your flabby tit in your kid's mouth. And travel is suddenly a burden on the children? Since when? Last time I checked, they don't have a fucking license. It's not like the parents are gonna make them walk or hitchhike, because that's just straight up creepy. And speaking of creepy, the last thing you mention is mental health. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if somebody is mentally ill to the point of being dangerous, I'm pretty sure everyone will know, and there will be a paper trail. And a lot of lithium, right next to the vitamin V in the medicine cabinet. And if you don't know what vitamin V is, check out the episode so you can avoid a needle in the wiener.
HB 4691 is opposed by at least 50 organizations, including the State Bar Family Law Section, Michigan Judges Association, Michigan...
Yeah, who gives a shit about your name dropping? We all know they're in it for the money anyway. These are all organizations, lawyers, and judges who have banked hard cash on the corruption that exists within the system of today. Saying there's a conflict of interest there is putting it mildly. These people have turned the family court industry into a billion-dollar racket. It is legalized extortion, and it eradicates hope and love. It is fucking evil and needs to be destroyed. And this bill is not a 100% solution, but it is a step in the right direction. And the people who oppose this, like you, Miss Raimi, and your fuckwit friends, kinda like this nutsack if it showed who allowed you to speak on his behalf, you have all been profiteering off this for decades. You have spent your entire professional lives making money off the misery of others. Let that sink in for a moment, and then we'll talk about what's fair. I have traversed the circumference of this earth 2 times by foot, suited up for 3 wars, almost killed in 2. I have given the recommendation, wrote the report, hit the plunger, pulled the trigger, worked the knife that created, directly or indirectly, a sea of widows and an ocean of orphans, and you are responsible for more blood than I can ever dream of.
Wow.
You think I'm done? I'm not. You're fear-mongering hard and fast, trying to make people afraid of this bill. But it's Black's Law Dictionary, and that is the nail in your fucking coffin. Because the key word in this bill is joint custody is presumed, not mandated or required. Which means several key factors need to be met, like providing for a child. You can't be a sick, twisted pedophile, or a domestic abuser, or a lying bitch who uses her connections to spread misinformation. Oh wait, I just made that last part up.
You see what he did there?
So after reading this brain rot, there are 3 things that I can presume about you, Miss Raimi. You're a hateful sexist, a fucking idiot, and a shitty attorney. And this is what I think of your fucking propaganda. In fact, I'm gonna go drop me a deuce and put this paper to good use. Now that might seem harsh, but I think it's fair. Screen 5!
I have to go now. Actually, I don't. It would be rude to walk out without saying anything.
But if you don't think it's harsh, and you find it funny, because it is, links below, Patreon and PayPal. We need more whiskey for the bar. And why? Because this is fucking delicious. You know what else is delicious? Subscribers, so hit the button and the bell. It's only fair. Get the fork off.
What do you think this is? Fork you, bitch.
Get the fork off. What's wrong with R or is?
R is when there's more than one.
Oh, you're oh God, you're grandma nazing me. You're sounding like grandma.
We're gonna try one more time.
Me and my friend, your friends and I.